In this video, we're going to explore how you can use Chart.JS. So basically, this is a video or a video series about Chart.JS tutorial for beginners, really exploring how Chart.JS works and exploring under the hood how Chart.JS really functions. Understanding this will have you or will give you benefit in going more deeper afterwards and understanding the other videos that I have. So that's a very benefit for you. It's a big benefit. Alright, let's start, and let's start with the basics. So you can see here right now I have a very basic template here. This HTML file is almost blank. And what we're going to do is, number one, I'm going to put in a basic Bootstrap design just for visual, or at least something visual to see it that looks a bit more appealing. And then after that, we're going to look at Chart.JS, how we're going to put in Chart.JS in here. So first of all, let's make a basic design, and this design I use very consistent in my Udemy course about Chart.JS. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in learning more about Chart.JS, check out as well my Udemy course, which dives deep in everything. Alright, so first of all, let's get here. This is the introduction. This is Bootstrap 5.0, which is in beta, and all I need here is basically the Bootstrap basic starter template. That's the one we need. Alright, we got that. I'll just put that in here. Once we have, I'm going to remove all the excess data here, or all the excess code. This is useless for me. We don't need that now. Alright, we have this one here. I'll just put it in here, and we can put this in here. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick design here. I'll just give the background here for the body BG success to give it a green background, and then in here we're going to make a div, and this div will be a column 8 with an offset of 2. So we have a card, we will put it more in the center, or that card will be the focus where the chart will be in. So once we have this in here, we will just make a new div as a class. This will be our card. And we can close that, and then in here we will have div class, we say here body card, and we close that as well. And what I will do here is I will make a HR line, and I will just put in this here between. Alright, and then I'll make this, because I want to make sure that this is small, this doesn't have to be so big. There we are. So in here we will put in our canvas. So let's save that, refresh. So we have this here. Alright, let's check, let's see, do we have extra text here? Oh, that's this one here above. We're going to move that, and what I want to do here that would probably be more suitable is to give a margin Yankee number 5. So we push it more down. Alright, that looks slightly better. This doesn't look that nice, to be honest, but I guess this is the reason why. Card body, sorry about that. Alright, there we are, that looks better. Now what we need is, we need the Chart.js library. So we go here on chartjs.org, click get started, and once you click get started, you get here the information here. We have here a basic chart already built, and that's fine. We can use this one, or you can click on getting started. You can get here the canvas ID, the script, the JavaScript, and then you have here, and this is a basic line chart. So we can copy this. I will copy this part here, and I will copy the code here, and after that we will just make the line chart as well. We can copy all of those. So you can copy this. Alright, once we did that, I'll copy the JavaScript, or the JavaScript library for Chart.js, and what I prefer is I prefer to put the JavaScript below the Bootstrap, so, or the Chart.js, and here there's a newer version already. The most updated version is 2.9.0. I know there's a beta right now running at 3.0, which is wonderful if you would like to try. However, for now, we just use the 2.9. This is the most updated version. That's fine. I already saved this one, so I will not use this, but you can use this, there's no problem. And the reason I already saved it on my desktop is to save time in loading. So I will just say here chart.min.js. Alright, that's the minimized version. Oh, double quotation here, and here we are. And then what I get is the following. We can get this piece of code here. We will get this. And let's look here. We type in here script and we have a closing script. All right, and then in here we will put in our beautiful code. There we are. All right, so now we have this, and let's explore what all this really means. So if I have this here and go back to our chart here, now we have this. That looks beautiful. Looks like a nice line chart, exactly what we want. So what does this all mean, and how can we really play around with this? So we have all of these codes. And you might say, well, okay, this code is wonderful, but what can I do with it? Because most people will see a chart yet and they see a very static chart. And what I want to do is here is I want to dive deep in all of these. This is really a basic tutorial, understanding how we can play around with this, understanding what this is. Once you understand these basics here, you will understand more better how you can go more advanced and how to go deeper. And this is really one of the most important things, because this will be eventually 80% where you will focus on. While there's in Chart.JS, if you really look at Chart.JS here, they have this very complicated or very extensive library with all these functions. But the honest truth is that these functions here, or these options here, will be used very, very limited. You'll be playing more around with values, data, and colors than you will do with, for example, the hover point width. Yes, or something like this. Well, these are fun to play around with, but they are, once you have the basics, you will not use that much. Unless you want to invest more in the design. However, the data is the key for the chart, because that's the one you are going to focus on. So let's look at this, and let's understand what we're going to do here. So we have these here. So let me just explain this part here. So we have this variable, and it says CTX. This is just a variable that we assign, and CTX stands for context. And you can use anything else. It could be anything. For example, in our case, let's say this is a beginner chart. We can use this one here. Yeah, so we have the canvas ID. So first of all, why we have this canvas with an ID? Chart.js is canvas based, meaning it will draw the chart in canvas. So it's not a JavaScript, it's basically a canvas. But that really means is the following. Let's open up our developer tab here, and then if you open up this and you're going to search on this, you will see here now, you will see only the canvas. You don't see these dots here. You will not see them. Why? They are all drawn in this. And from there on it loads, then it starts to make one picture. And that creates the issue in controlling, because many people struggle for, alright, how can I adjust all of these data points or the color of this if I cannot see here? You have different type of chart libraries. That's why you have the JavaScript library. For example, C3, D3 is deeply invested in JavaScript, where it really draws in JavaScript and you can see every data point. Chart.js does not. It uses canvas, meaning that they tend to be pixelated, but they solve that with some pixel codes that you can use as well. Because as this extends, it will not be so flexible. Although they figure out how to make it flexible, but if you make the width or height bigger, sometimes it might look slightly pixelated, but there's a solution for that, by the way. So that's it. That's the basics first. All right. So we understand this now. So it is a canvas. It's not a JavaScript or no single ID or HTML element of that. So it's just only this canvas ID, and from there on, everything has been drawn and it sticks in one item. So if we look here right now, we have this variable context. It says equals document get element by ID my chart. Yeah, so which element is this? Well, it is this element here, is the canvas element with this ID name. And then it says get context. So get context basically indicates to draw something in a canvas. This is the command. This is the command to draw. So that's basically what you're saying here. So this variable is to get an ID and start to draw something. If you want to change this, let's say we say beginner chart. We can change this to here. Make that beginner chart, and this we can adjust as well. We can say, we can change it to something else, or we have a new variable, we would say variable beginner chart as well. Maybe we want to have that equally. The document.getElement, yes, get element by ID. What's the ID? In this case, it's the beginner chart, and then draw, so get context. So make sure you spell it correctly, if not you will get an error. And then here, single quotation 2D. Alright, draw this stuff. So we can remove this. If you remove this, let me just copy this and put that in here, save this, you will see nothing happens, or it will not change anymore. Basically, it's the same. The only thing is that we have adjusted the ID, so there's no problem in that. So that's the first one. And then it says here, variable get the chart, variable chart, new, create a new item or a new chart, or draw the following detail points, data points. This is what we're going to make. First, the type. What is the type we want to create? That's here in the beginner chart. So what is the chart we're going to draw here? And this type here can be different. So for example, we have here bar chart. We type in type bar chart, refresh, and then you can see it starts to adjust into a bar chart. This here helps you to really understand, or it basically it says, because this is pre-programmed in Chart.JS to draw this. And if you would do here pie chart, let's save that, refresh, now you can see it works, but of course the color codes are different than all these things, because the main reason here is we have only one color, and the setup was basically for a bar or line chart, because those two are very similar to each other, while pie chart and polar area chart have a very different structure. The same with the donut chart. So if you have donut chart, make sure we spell it correctly, refresh, and now we have a donut chart. There we are. Alright, so let's go back to a bar chart. That's probably the one we want to use most of the time anyway. So we have this bar chart here. Alright, so if you want to adjust this, so basically this is where people struggle. How can we start to adjust all of these items here? Or let me first cover these before we start to adjust or communicate with this. So we have here the following. So once we type, or once we draw the bar chart, what is the next one here? Is basically the data set, or the information, the data with the information in here. So we have the data. In the data, we have the labels and we have the data sets. So this part is very important as well, because here it starts to indicate this here is basically the information here below. And in pie chart, or in a donut chart, you will see that this data is starting to be used for the legend as well. So this is the legend depending on which type of chart you have. So, but if you have a line chart, it will work with this label as the legend. And same with the bar chart, as you can see. So we have these labels here, and this is basically helping us here for the values here on the x-axis, indicating the values or the data points and what category they are. And then we have here in the data sets the label, which can be the legend depending on the type of chart. For line and bar, this is the legend. For pie chart or the circle type of charts, polar chart, circle, pie chart, and the donut chart, it is the legend. Then we have here the background color. So this is the background color here, indicating the background color of this is for our chart, the line chart, bar chart, or any kind of chart. This is the border color and the data here. So if you adjust the data, 1, we do this 5, we do this 10, 15, 20, this will be 25 and 30. Alright, and then let's refresh. You can see now we have this type of chart. So it works. This is the values. You can see here, this is important, you can see this bracket here indicates an array. So this is an array of values. So if you wonder what is an array of values, array is basically this. So if I talk about car, as you can say, or car brands, you will instantly know different type of brands. For example, Ford, Tesla, Toyota, etc., etc. I'm not even know Toyota, sorry, this is the right way to spell that. I'm almost misspelling it, but this is basically an array. So an array consists values within. Same with color. If I say color, blue, red, green, yellow, brown, etc., etc., that is an array of colors. So in a value, it can contain multiple values depending on. If there's only one single value and it's not a number, it's a string. Yes, and this is a string here. This is a string value. This is a string value. And the reason why you can see there is a single quotation indicating the string value. If we look, let's look at the documentation for this to get more better. So right now we're in a line chart. Let's go to the documentation here for line chart. And then we have here the data sets. Let's see if they have any information about line chart Probably not that much here. And the reason why is this is the basics you need to know. Let's see here if they have an introduction, if they have that here. Doesn't show you exactly. You can see here the examples they give. And this is the array, this is an array, and you can see here the label, these are all strings. Basically, if you will go to the line chart here, line chart, you can see here the following, the type. What is the type? Scriptable, indexable, etc., etc. All of these, you can see here the type. If it's color, it's basically a string because you put in text, although color can be multiple things. So let me show you here. Here we have an RGB color. We can also use a RGB alpha color or RGBA color. So let's make this an array. Yes. And what's an array? An array is a value that contains multiple values. So let's say here, because we want to give more colors in our situation, we want to have more colors in here. So we'll say here our background color is the following. We'll say here our background color. This is first, then this is fixed color. This is why Chart.JS shows you colors. Colors indicate, if you click on that, it indicates multiple color and multiple color patterns. Let's see if they have a sample here. Not really. Oh, there we are. So we have it's a string, it's a hexadecimal, an RGB, HSL, etc., etc. So we can use these. So let's do some samples on this so we can see. So we have these samples. We put in this here. For example, we have this one here, and I'm going to give this 255. That will be a very red color. And then here, next one will be blue. And next one will be a hexadecimal. So we say here hex for hashtag 009900. All right. So it gives an error here, or it gives a note because we need to put in here a string. It's a string value. Remember that. So we have here in total now 1, 2, 3, 4 values, while we have here 7 values. So basically there might be some items not getting any color. So let's see how this will look like. And you can see here now, well, this shows you is as the data points are being adjusted. Let's adjust this to bar chart so you can see it more clear. Remove that and refresh. You can see now this is the first one, and this is the RGB, let's see here, was it the RGBA color, where you can make it more transparent. Let's make this semi-transparent, 50%. You can see it's getting more clear because the alpha value is getting higher. As the higher the alpha value gets, the lesser the transparency becomes. So if it's almost to 0, it's basically 100% transparent. So let's save that, refresh. You can see here now, basically you don't see it, it's 100% transparent. So you can see here, these colors are not being colored, or it just becomes gray because it doesn't seize the color at all. Alright, so you have this understanding now here. These are the basic understanding. Labels here, this is basically not necessary here. Because we have the labels and you have the label here. And then we have the border color. Border color works exactly the same way. Alright, so probably that makes some sense. If you want to remove values, we can remove some values to make it more matching. For example, we only have 4 values. We only have for the month until April. Let's save that, refresh, and now you can see this starts to get better. I'm going to make this transparency 0. Or reduce the alpha to 50% only. Let's make this 5. There we are. 0.5 will be a 50% transparency. As you can see, the lines here true. That means it's transparent. This one is very solid. Alright, so now we have these here. We can play around with the border colors, and you probably understand this as well. So what is important here? Now you might say, okay, I get this. This makes sense now. I see these colors, and this is what most people understand. These are the basics. They say, okay, well, maybe you can do some advanced stuff with the bar chart or a line chart. Well, we can do some. Let's make some advanced stuff here with the bar chart. Let's say hover data or border width. We can play around with the border width. Let's do that one. Let's do a few here. Let's put a comma here. Remember, if you have the array and this is the last value of the array, how do I know this is an array? If you see these brackets, it's an array within an array. So there's an array, this is an array, and this array contains multiple arrays. Alright? So if you have this, just make sure you put a comma here, and then we say the following here. For example, here the border width. Border width. and then here we can put in what is the value here. Border width is a number or an object. So basically it's a number, it's scriptable, yes, you can put 0, and we can, let's say, put the border width is 25. Let's see what happens if we do 25. Let's save that. So if you go back here, refresh, as you can see here, now we have taken out the border. Yes, the border width was very thick, and then if you don't like the color, well, we can adjust the color here. Let's make this color. This is the border here. Let's give it an array value by putting in brackets, and in here, let's put in red, comma, and then single quotation, this will be green, comma, blue, comma, and then single quotation, yellow. Save this, refresh, and there we are. So now we have these border widths here that matches up, and you can see even this here becomes matching with the border width here. Of course, this looks extremely unpleasant, so let's reduce this to maybe 1. The border width will be 1 back here. Alright, this is basically the border width. So you can do, of course, more comments. You can play around with the background color, the label, what do you have more here? Border skipped, etc., etc. All of these things are nice. The data sets, percentage, bar thickness, etc., etc. Scales, you can do extremely advanced stuff. Alright. However, I can imagine this is the one where everyone struggles, and this is the one you really need to know. This is the understanding how you can get this data or from under the hood. Alright, so this is what I call under the hood, because this is the part that really is important. So we say here console.log in here. And how do we get this data? So you might say, okay, this is nice, but I want to get, for example, these values. How do I get these values? How does this really work? So we get the type here. Yes, so we have the type, and it says draw this bar chart, and then we have this data here. How do we extract the data set? So to do that, we need to have the structure of it. So to understand how this works, we look here up, we scroll up to the top here in the bar chart. Let's go here top. Let's see if we have an example here. We need to look at the namespace. Where are we? Where are we? Border skip, element, rectangles. We have some here. We have the names. Let's see, I think I need to go slightly higher. No, we just went here, border, border, border. Alright, this is the dataset properties. Alright, so the namespace doesn't show here, so I'm going to show it to you directly. So how does this namespace work, or how does this value works? Well, if you really look and understand this part, the logic behind it is based on this variable here. This variable is a new chart. Yeah? It draws a new chart, and this draws the new chart in where? In this ID. What is this ID or this variable? This variable equals this following ID, which is our ID, this beginner chart. And what is the beginner chart ID, or which element is this? Well, this is our canvas. We go back here to our canvas. So basically, what we need to do is we need to say in JavaScript, if we want to get, let's say, this data here, we need to break it down where we are going. So basically we say go to canvas, and then we say we go to ID, whatever the ID name is, that is in this case the beginner chart. Then in here we are going to get, for example, we want to get the label. So we go into data, then go into the data sets, and here, because this is an array, very important, yes, so we say here data sets number 0. Yes, the reason why, because this is an array in itself. We can put in another one here, if we would do another one between here, for bar, having another bar chart besides, or multiple lines in a chart, you have it like this. Alright, so then you have next, then where are we going? For example, we want to get the, what was that? We want to get the label here. So then we say label. Alright, so this is how you get that. So how will we get this? This canvas ID with this part is basically chart. This variable here, yes? It covers already this. So we can cut away this and we just say chart. So to do this, let's cut this here and move this in the console log area. To do this, we just say the following. We say chart dot data sets, and then we have 0 dot label. Alright, from here on we basically have the value. So if we say here variable ABC equals this, let's try to extract this one right now. Then we can do the following here. No, we have ABC, then we say here ABC, semicolon, save this. No, then go back here, open up the developer tab, and you can see here now our message. You can see here in the console log, the message will be my first data. And this is basically how you start to communicate. This is really the under the hood part. So let's try another one. So I'll give you another chance. How would you get the border width? If you understand just what we did, you now understand how we can get the border width. Let's copy this one, or let's type in here variable. Or we can say here const. Then that's probably more better, the pop array. Do it, and then we say borderline, border size. Alright. Equal, what is the border size? Well, chart dot data for here dot data sets, the first array, which is 0, the first value in array, and then we say here border width. So we say dot border width. Alright, once we did that, we can do now here again in console.log, and here we say border size. Save this. So now you will see, if you refresh, we have 2 items here. What is the border size? The border size equals 1. And my data set equals, or this is the first one, the ABC variable is my data set. So now is a question. If you understand this part, how would you get not only this, but let's say you only get the first or the second value here. Alright? Well, let's do first the basics here. Let's get this here, the border color. You probably will know now again here, const, and we'll just make this updated to the latest version of JavaScript, which is probably better. Const, and here as well, const. So we have a constant, and here const. Alright, so we got these. Here now again. So we have here the following. What is here? The value. So we say here, and we want to have the border colors. Border colors equals, but we're going to extract this eventually, the entire array. So we say here again, chart.data sets 0, and then border color is capital C. Make sure that's capitalized, so that's the exact variable. Then in here, console.log, open this up, and then you say border colors. Here, alright, border colors is this const, so we get that const. Save this, refresh. Now we get different color values: red, green, blue, yellow. And that's exactly correct. But maybe you say, well, wait a minute, I don't want this. I want the border color green. How do I get only the single value extracted? Alright, so that's basically in the arrays. Understanding arrays will give you very big benefit. This is basically what you're really learning. You're learning how to talk, or how JavaScript is visualizing logical code into a picture. And now what you're doing is basically extract the logical code out of the picture. So basically what you're doing is now the exact opposite of what you first did. And that is really fun. This makes Chart.js extremely fun because it's like a puzzle. Alright, so let's do this again, and let's explore one more time. And now let's get the green. Can you extract the green? Do you know how? I'll give you a few seconds to think about. Just think about how will you do that. How will you do that? If you understand this is an array, then basically you need to know that array contains multiple values. So if you would think about it, the border color, so basically it's this. I'm going to add that in here. Let's put it down here, and later on I will comment this out because this is later we have to delete this. Basically here, if you would get this, then this is the array number 1. That will be 0. Array number 2. This is number 1. Or yeah, that's the way how it works. Blue is number 2, and yellow is number 3. So why is that? Well, sadly enough, I don't know exactly the answer why the array starts with 0, but it's the basic systemized or structure how coding works. They start the array with a 0, and then so the first value of the array is 0, the second value is 1. So if you want to extract the second value of the array, we need to put in this, number 1. Alright? So you probably guess now what we really need. We just need this, number 1, to extract the first or the second value, which is green, from the border color. Alright, so let's try that. So const is a border green equals, here's a chart.data sets dot 0, sorry, not dot 0, bracket 0, and then here border color bracket 1, semicolon, and let's add another console.log, and in this console.log we say border green, semicolon, save this, and then let's refresh. Now you can see we extract only the green, and now you say, wait a minute, green? Oh, I see this is green. Well, that's correct. You can see here we're talking about the border color, and the border color here is green. So make sure you pay attention to that. Don't get confused between the background color and border color. So you can see here our console log is showing the value green. So this is exactly what we want. So now you're understanding communication with this. So if you would like to adjust that, you could basically adjust the variable with that, where you can update the variable, but that's a more advanced item. But if you understand this, you can understand how to update this. So now we have this. Alright, can we extract? I'm going to give you an exercise now. Can you extract the labels? Can you extract the background color, let's say the blue? And from the labels April, and can you extract from data 15? So how to do that? So let me write it down. Number 1, extract in console log the label April. We're going to get this one, and then number 2, we're going to get the blue from the background color, blue, and number 3, let's extract, what was that, the number 15 from data. Number 15 from data. Alright, you probably guessed it. Yes, but I will give you a few minutes or a few seconds. I'll just, you can pause this video basically. I will not stop here for 5 minutes and do nothing. So you probably guess what we're going to do. So if you're not sure, just pause for now and try to explore yourself before you continue on. And if you're just curious how to do it, well, just continue on. I'll show you exactly how. Alright, so here, how do we extract or how do we get in the console log April? Now let's look, where's April? We know that April is here, the 4th one in the label. So this is the array. This is the 4th value, which is number 3 in the labels. Alright, so we go here from chart, data, labels, number 4. Alright, so we're going to do that one now. So we say console log. Nope. Before we even do that, we need to make a const, and this one will be, I'll just put in here, I'll say April, so we know that this is April. Const, we'll call this April. That will be a very nice term. Alright, equal, and then where are we going? Well, chart. Chart is the first part here, data, labels. Then we go to data, and then we go to labels, and this labels will be the 3rd one, because it's the 4th value. Remember, 4th is the 3rd because it starts with 0 first. Alright, once we did that, we've got that. So now console log will give you the following. We say April. Alright, so once we have that, what's the next one? So we can remove this, and I will say the next one is blue. So that will be the new value. Then we say your const blue. I'm not sure if this is allowed because it might be a color as well, so I just say blue color. So probably it's allowed, but I'm not sure because sometimes JavaScript doesn't allow certain terms, which is like variable or something that's already used in JavaScript. Probably blue is not used, but That's all right for now, just to be sure. And then we say here, all right, how do we get the blue color? Where is the blue color? Well, we need to go to chart. From chart to data, data sets, and then we go to background color, and then we go to the third value in the array, which is number 2. All right. So we say here, blue color is chart.data.data sets. That is 0. All right. So data.data sets, and then we go to background color. I'm going to just copy that. Background color is capital letter C. Make sure you copy that. And then what was the value? If I'm not mistaken, number 2, because this is the 1. This is 0, 1, 2. All right. So this is number 2, third value in the array. All right. So we've got that, and we can just say here console.log, and then we say blue. All right. Final exercise. Now we have to get number 15 from data. How do we get number 15 from here? Probably guessed it as well. And if you followed along, or if you already did it and you managed to do it, well, you're good. You're right on track. That's very good. So chart type, then data. Oh, sorry, from chart to data, data sets, then here data number 15. All right. So we say here again const, and we say here num15. Now we're going to give this as the value. And what is the const or the variable of this? Chart.data.data sets. All right. And this is the first array, so 0. And then we say here in the data number 15. That's the fourth value, which is the third one in the array. So we say data dot, oh sorry, not dot, bracket 3. All right, semicolon here. And then we say here console dot log, open this up, and then we say num15. Let's save this, refresh, and let's check here. All right, what happened here? Blue is not allowed. Let's double check. All right, I will just remove that. Of course, make sure you have the same colors here. Sorry about that. Refresh, and then you can see here the following value. We get green, we get April, we get blue, and we get 15. And this is the one that we just did. April, blue, and number 15. All right, so now we've got this one. And you probably now start to understand how this works. So you understand now how to communicate. But we're not done yet. You thought we were done? No, of course not. We just had the basics on this because there's still more. All right, let's play around with more data sets because now it becomes more fun. This is why in data sets you always work with 0. We only work with 0 so far. Now let's play around more. So we say my second data set. And here I'm going to give it some extra colors, new designs. Let's say here, pink, gray, purple, red. All right. For this here, I will say orange, cyan, light blue, and blood orange. If I'm not mistaken, that should be a color. And then we give this a different one. Say 4, or let's make this 15. This will be 10, and this will be 7, and it will be 5. So it's a declining chart. All right. I copied this. Make sure you have the comma here for the array, and make sure you don't put in the double brackets. The brackets must be covering the entire data set. If not, you're breaking the array. So save this. Let's go back here, refresh, and there you are. So now we have some new data sets here, and you can see here we have some different colors, and this looks quite nice. And if we change this to line, save this, there you are. You can see now the lines are exactly the opposite. All right, that looks very nice, but I do like this more. Or if you can do pie, let's see what happens if you have a pie. If you have a pie, you can see here if you start to create multi-level pie charts or multi-donut. Donuts are always very nice to look at. If you do this, save this, refresh, this looks like very professional, a multi-level donut chart. All right, but let's do the bar chart because this is the common one I prefer to use most of the time. Nope, and that's a wrong press. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Refresh, back here. All right, so we are here. We have all these messages here. So my question for you is the following. imagine you want to extract now this purple color here. This is from the background color. How will you extract this purple here from this background color? And then I want you to figure out a way how we can extract as well from, let's say, from this, the my second data set. How can we get a console log and get my second data set in here? See if you figure that one out, because this one is slightly different. And the reason why it's different is because we are working now with multi-data sets here. This is what many people are struggling with. How can you use multi-data sets? And if you want to do it even more complicated, let's make it even slightly more challenging. Third data set. Let's make this marine. And this will be light green. And this is, what do you call it? Well, green blue. That would be, I think that's the color as well. Green blue and brown. Let's copy this, and I'll just copy this here as well, but then in the opposite direction. Oh, well, maybe call this gold. It's better. Apple green. I wonder if this is a color. Apple green, and then we have here cornflower blue. That's just the one top of my head. I remember this one, so that's a nice color as well. 15, 15, 15, 16, and this again 15. There we are. So we get all kind of colors. What happened here? Apparently, this color here, this is gray if I'm not mistaken, gray. We have here cyan. Let's see here. Wait, what happened? Brown, gold. Am I correct? Which color is this? This is the third data set. And you can see here, that's a good one. Figure out what is this color here right now. So you can see this is the third one here. The first one, marine blue, probably that's the right term. No, not at all. Alright, so it doesn't matter. Background color. I'll just give it another color. Light brown. Oh, not brown. Sorry about that. Wrong type. Doesn't work as well. Alright, doesn't matter. Let's play around with it and figure out what is this color here. Can you get this color out here? Can you get the third one as well? Let's get the third one here, and then we get this purple here, and we get the second data set. So let's do another practice. So what we're going to do here is, so we need a few things. We need purple. We need the second data set label. And number 3 is we need the missing or broken color that I don't know why it's yet broken. What is the value here? Alright, let's try here. So we make here const, and this const will be purple. And what is this const? So if you understand here, where are we now? Purple is this. And just from looking at this chart, you should be able to figure out that the background color, it's in the second data set. It's in the second data set. As you can see as well in the tooltip, you can see the second data set. And the second data set, you need the third value. So this is the third one in the array. That's the number 2 of the, there's the second array value. Yeah, so I'm hoping I'm being clear. Remember, our array start with 0, so 0, 1, 2. So that's number 2 in here. That's the third value is number 2. Alright. So let's get that one. That will be number 1. So how do we get the purple? So we say chart, data, and we go to the data set, and our data set this time is the second data set. Remember, it's in the second data set here. So we are going here from data sets, and then we say number 1. Remember, number 1 is the second one. And then where we're going, so we're going to the background color. The background color and then purple, which is the third value in the array, so that's number 2. So we say background color, we copy this. And then we say number 2. Alright, got that? So now our console.log will be purple and will show purple. Alright, and make sure the console.log is with a dot, not a comma, because it will give you an error. Alright, how do we get the second data set? A const Then we say second data set equal. Well, where is the second data set? Well, it's basically here in the label. So we say here with chart data set, but then data set in the second array, which is number 1, and then label. All right, that's what we're going to do. So we say chart dot data sets, and this data set will be number 1, and then we say here label. There we are, and then we say console.log, and we have this here. We just copy this. Finally, let's explore const, and I'll give this const missing color because that's the one that's giving us an error. Let's explore what this is. Where can we find this? First of all, we do know one thing. We know it is in here, which is in the third data set, and it's the first value or first color value of the data set in the third one. So we say dot data. Yeah, so let's look here. We say here data sets, and then we're going to look for the third one that's in here, that's number 2. Then in here the first color, which is light brown. So now we say data set, and this is the third one, so that means number 2, the second value, or the third value, which is the second number 2 for the array. Then here background color 0. All right, once we do that, console.log, and in here we say missing color. Let's figure out what is our color. We probably already know that. Let's save that and refresh. So the moment we refresh, we can see the following here. We want to get the purple. That is correct. We extracted the purple. Next, we figure out the my second data set, which is this one here. We're able to figure out. And finally, we have the light brown. Apparently, light brown is not a color in HTML, or not a text color. So we could do something else here. So instead of light brown, we could maybe, let's adjust this. Let's make this a RGBA. And then we say here, it's 100, 200, 250, 55. All right. And save this. So once we save this, let's see what happens. Now it starts to work again. Now you get a color here, and you can see this starts to match. And this is basically how you can use Chart.js for under the hood. And we're not even done. So let's look here. Here will be a question. Can you figure out this one here? This one will be a tricky one. Can we get this one here? So if you are here, you probably will figure out, well, this is probably simply this. You can say here const type, or chart type, I'll just give it chart type, equals chart and then type. We say chart dot type semicolon, and then we say console.log, and then we say chart type. All right, let's save this and see what happens. There you are. So now we did that. You can see here it gets undefined. Why is it undefined? Well, it doesn't work. For this one, it doesn't work. The reason why, this is in the config settings. So this is in the config, in the configuration basically. So we need to put in here a different term. So we say your chart.config, and then we save, and then you get the bar chart. So there we are. So now you have that one. So if we change this now to pi, or let's say line, I like to go with pi because pi is slightly more nicer for us here right now. If you look at this, that looks beautiful. You can see now we have the pie chart. But these are more advanced ways, because with this you can now start to communicate more advanced, and you can play around with it. So with the options as well. So let's look at the options here. Let's go here to bar chart, or to, well, we can do in the bar chart, and let's look at some special configurations for the options, where we can do some advanced options. All right, the advanced options is, for example, legend. Yes, so we say here legend and legend show. You can see your chart. This is basically the namespace here. You can see your chart defaults global legend. In options, options legend namespace. All right, so we're going in the legend, and we say legend. Let's go back here. We're going to hide our legend. What is our legend? This is here right now. The legend, we want to remove this. We don't want this anymore. So we go to here, options, Let me say here legend, and legend here is, if I'm not mistaken, a array itself. Yes, option and display. Yes, that's an array. Let's go back here. Let me say here, this is an array, and let me say display. Let me say false. Let's save this, refresh, and there you are. So now we hide the legend, which is nice. We can even do some other options here as well. We can do all kind of options because these options are related to legends itself, and all these positions here, align, etc., etc., etc. Not important for now. That's probably a bit more advanced. However, if you want to communicate as well with this part, you probably figure out here, we can go from chart, and then we go to data, or instead of data, we go to options, legend, and then we can check here. We can check here the display. Alright. Let's put in here const. Now we say legend display. Let's get that value out of there. Equals. So what are we equaling? What is this value? Well, this value is the following. We will say here options dot, oh sorry, no. Of course you start with chart. Yes. Number one, the chart, because that's the one we need. That's the const or the variable. Const chart options legend display. Options legend and then display. Semicolon. And then we say here console.log. And then we do legend display, semicolon, save. Let's go back here, refresh, and once you refresh, you can see now we get the value false. Is that correct? Our value is set currently on false. So if I say here something very uncommon, let's say 1111, let's save this, refresh. It works here. The legend doesn't trigger the command of hiding the legend, but you can see here this is our value here. So this is the way how you can communicate, and you can even update this. So if you would say here, for example, this one will be variable or a const. What is the const? Let's say here, and we're going to put the const here, and I will not even put this in here, but I will say here this is false. Let me say legend display. We can just comment this out. I'll just put it here, and then we say here legend display. So this is just only a variable we put in here, and this variable will eventually show here the legend display to make sure that we know that this is a legend display. I will put in here multiple ones. Save this, refresh. Oh, the identifier legend display has already been declared. Alright, of course this is not allowed. You're not allowed to do this multiple times, or let's delete all of these so we are not confused, because I figured out that that's basically excess baggage. Let's save this, refresh. Now you have your variable here. There you are. So now you can see here specific values. We have our const, our variable here, legend display, it shows false. Let's update our values here as well with a value. Let's say the data here will be data 1. Alright, that will be our item. So we say here const data 1 equals, and then we say here, let's say make this crazy numbers, 999, 111, and 234. Alright, let's save this. Before I save this, semicolon, save this, refresh, and now we get huge values as you can see here, but probably you cannot see it clearly here. And the reason why you cannot see it clearly, while you see the values here, this is relative because it starts to work in percentage. So I'm going to change this to a bar chart. So I'm going to give you the assignment. How we set this up to a bar chart? Well, you probably figured it out right now. Put it in here. You make a const. You say here bar chart equals bar chart or bar. That's the one we want. Make sure this is a string value, semicolon, and this here will be removed, and then you say bar chart. Let's save this, refresh, and now you can see here the peaks that we have on the first one. There we are. So if you want to set up multiple values like these, like data 1. Maybe you have another data, it's also data 1, and another one here, data 2. Let's save this, and then I'm going to make a data 2 here. Data 2, and then we say data 2 is 250, 11, 99, and then 99. Exactly the opposite, or almost the opposite. Oh, almost the opposite of data 1. Let's save this and refresh, and there you are. You can see now our 250 is here. Well, this one is 234, 99 here, 99, 99. All right, this is 11. And then here we have number 99 as well. All right, so this here is really one of the basic parts, and understanding how you can communicate variables, moving it into a data chart. With this, you start to really understand it. This is, in my personal experience and opinion, the most important part to understand. Once you understand this, you can do more nicer stuff, and there's a lot more. Check out my Chart.JS course on Udemy, which goes deeper and has more items in there. Check out my other videos as well. And the most exciting part is once you know this, you know how you can start to communicate with other data and inserting your data here into this part here. So what you really learn now is just this, how you have your canvas here and how you can communicate to your canvas and how you can decipher basically the canvas items here into basic code and how you can re-communicate this code into a picture. So that's really most important part of this Chart.js tutorial for beginners. Understanding this is the key, and I will make some other videos related to this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, subscribe to my Chart.js channel, and if you have questions regarding to this or you still struggle, just put them in the comment section below. And if you want to know my Chart.js course on Udemy, check out the description box just below the video. You can find the link in there.